So this is the portion of the tour where you pretty much have free reign to do what you want. Pretty creepy at night. Can't really see that well in front of me, but hey ho, that's what we're doing. Hello. Hi. Sorry. this. You can like barely see anything, even with my flashlight. Yo, see down in front of me. Like, it's just, I don't even think the camera's picking this up. It's crazy. So crazy. This one is building 5. Don't know if you can see that, but we didn't go in this one before, so curious to see how this one is.
Scared the shit.
Sorry. Now, if that's not creepy, I don't know what the hell is. Like, it's just a chair. Oh my gosh, why won't we focus? There you go. chair in the middle of this room. Hello. This is interesting. Okay. Gosh, it's a shame it's so dark because I can't really see anything until I'm right up on it. I guess this is like the kitchen area where people used to come and eat.
Big building, so. Is that a hallway?
Yeah, it goes all the way down.
Oh, down here?
Mm-hmm. Right down there. It's creepy, huh? Oop. Hello. Sorry. It's okay. Oop. Hello. Just tripped on something.
No, they stayed upstairs. They said if it wasn't creepy, they weren't coming down.
If it wasn't creepy, they were coming down. Okay, I'm curious.
I mean, but yeah, if it wasn't that creepy, they weren't coming down. They wasn't wasting the time.
Abby, look behind you.
Maybe
Abby, look behind you.
Maybe see him.
Gotta get the. Whoa, creepy stairs.
There's an arrow right there that leads to this tunnel. Hello.
Oh, guys. There's people. Hello, Earthling. I thought I heard footsteps behind me. Jeffrey, that's so creepy out. Oh, don't turn it off. I was just kidding if I broke it or not. Turn it off. It's off. Oh. Okay. You gotta be quiet so we can hear things. Sorry if I'm blinding you.
It's okay.
How was the trip?
Not that
Good down here?
Yeah.
It's okay?
bad. Yeah, for the most part.
Be safe.
Thank you, you too. Thank you, you too. Oh my god, this is so creepy. It literally just keeps going. Holy guacamole.
God, it was just a door.
Yeah, it's chained shut.
Isn't that lovely?
That must be down there, that door.
What door?
Yeah.
There's the one, and you can't get in them. I still need it down there.
That is very creepy. I think someone bumped into it. That's why it's swinging like that. But if they didn't, that's pretty gnarly. Nope. And we've made it back from the tunnel. Oh, Jesus. Such a long walk. Cage. Get ready. Gotta go this way. Okay. That was down. Now we have to go up. Huh. I don't know if you can see that. There's a door. That door is closed, so I can't exactly go through. Okay. Back down I go. Can you see me? Okay. That's just sometimes what happens when you have to go off on your own. You get a chance to, like up there. Certain parts are closed or off limits. Very upsetting, but I get why. So you just gotta have to stick to the rules and areas that you're allowed to go. That's okay. Okay. That breeze feels so good. It's so hot. Much over there. My goodness. Can't really see much. My goodness. See my feet, but it's kind of out of focus. You see darkness all the way around. I wish I could get it on camera. Like, I haven't quite figured out the settings for nighttime photography and whatnot, but the stars are just beautiful. I wish you can see them. Anywho, now, this is Block K. I don't recall coming in here, like, at all. So, I think this is like one of the newer buildings for me. Ooh, I stepped on. Oh, I stepped on that. Like bunk beds, it looks like. Whoops. Ay, ay, ay. Junk. Not much of a exit. So I guess I will carefully make my way through here yet again. Just some almost stepped on that. Electronics, equipment, things like that. Nothing too fancy schmancy. I don't think anyone is has been in here yet, or if they have, they got to it before me. It's really not much, just like, you know, empty rooms. A lot of them just don't have anything in them, but there's lots of like frauds here and stuff, so I'm trying to be careful. Goodbye, K Block. Don't think there's much else over there on that path, so I'm going to go back up where I came from. And try not to trip and fall. That will be a lovely, lovely goal. It's about 2:03 a.m. right now. We are permitted to stay on the premises until about... sorry, I was like a bug that went up my nose. We're permitted to stay on the premises until about... what did the lady say? About 5:30, but we definitely have to be gone by like 6:30. So, the guided tours were done around 12:30 a.m. And then you have free roam for the next basically 5 hours until it's time for you to leave. Okay, so now I am going back around. I don't think you can really see any of this, but I went down a path that we didn't explore before. That's how I got to Block K. This is building 5. That's in front of me. I don't think any of you guys can see really. Maybe if I get a bit closer. Can you guys see now? That 5? Yeah, that's the building in front. Yeah, number 5. So now I gotta follow this path that I'm walking on right now back to like the main buildings on the other side. I didn't quite feel like anything in Solitary, or I think it was Block J, which is like the general population, so I don't feel the need to really go back there. And plus, there wasn't much else to those anyways. It was just 2 floors of cells, so not really a whole lot. Actually, I do remember there was a path over here. Don't know if anything leads there. But hey ho, we can always find out, right? Oh yeah, that's J. That's where it came from. Yeah, I'm okay without exploring that, honestly. There wasn't much else, what I was really gunning for, which I'm glad I did get to do, was the tunnel. Although that was in another building. The one I really want to go to the basement of, and the tunnel is the one in the chapel. I'm not quite sure if the tunnel is just in kind of like led all the way to the chapel. I'm not quite sure. I also have to try to remember where the chapel is, because it's a bit confusing in the dark here, with your bearings and whatnot. So, it's a task, but we'll see. If not, that's okay. Can't tell, but I think this is the chapel. Oh gosh, I forgot about that step. Lord Jesus. Yeah, that's the chapel. Oh gosh, can't see that. So everyone said this is just a basic, like, room. Don't know if you can tell, it's just other stuff in here. Not much to see. Sorry. Ow. Okay. So one way is to building 5. If you remember, building 5 is where I came from. And that way to building 1. I don't remember if I've been down there. Potentially. I hear footsteps. I'm pretty sure that's the other people. I think I pretty much have gone this way. Yeah, see, look. You see, remember this was swinging before? It's not swinging anymore. Yeah, so I definitely have been here before, so I just didn't know that I went down the same tunnel. Okay, pretty much explored the entire length that way over there. The door's closed, so not gonna really do me much good. Alright, I guess I'll just go back up into the chapel. They're doing a session in the chapel, so I'm not going to really go in there again. But nothing really happened in there anyways last time I was in there, so I'm not expecting much. So. These rooms crack me up so much. They're just like nothing. Bathroom. Okay. A closed door. Nothing special. And then this is just another entry into the chapel. Someone said earlier they saw a shadow over here. It's hard to see anything in the dark, but I don't know. Okay, I'm done with the chapel. I'm going to go back out and then go to the main building. Okay, change of plans. So I'm going to the building that I got footage of in the beginning of this video from afar. I think that's the only building left I have to explore. So we're gonna go check that out now. Okay, correction. So that final building off there in the distance is locked. I think that was building 1 that we tried to get to from before, from the tunnel, but it is locked, so that's okay. Going to go to this building.
Hey everyone, so today is the next day. It is August 7th, and clearly from the end video I am home now, and I just wanted to take this time to just kind of debrief my whole ghost hunt experience. If you do hear like a little sound in the background, that's my AC is really hot. I can't be in this room without it. So overall, the ghost hunt went from 8:30 p.m. to 6 a.m. I only completed the ghost tour up until 2:30 a.m. Quite frankly, because like I just felt like there was really no need to stay any later than that for like the next 2.5, 3 hours, honestly. And I say this because number one, I got there at 8:30 and I stayed till 2:30. That's like, you know, 6 hours. I was with the group for about, 4 hours, and then the last 2 hours I was there, I kind of went off on my own and explored a little bit. And if not a whole lot happened to me in that time frame, I don't think anything else was really going to happen. So there's really no point in me staying for like the whole time. However, if you want to stay for the whole time, get your full money's worth, do your own investigation, hey, you do you. That is completely fine. But I didn't choose to do that. Overall, I enjoyed myself. It was a very cool experience. I met some lovely people. I met Paul from the UK. He's from England with his wife Ashley, and another Paul, funnily enough, he was with his wife Jen, and they kind of just like unofficially adopted me into their group because they saw that I was alone, and they just kept making all these jokes and just playing along with just how brave I was for going out there on my own and just kind of doing my own thing without having anyone else with me. They're such a fun crowd. I wish we were in the same group. It would have been a fun time if we were, but unfortunately we weren't. I was with the orange group, they were with the yellow group. When you check in, they give you colored wristbands, and that's like your assigned group that you stay with for the guided tours. Overall, for the most part, people said that they saw things, they heard things, they felt things in certain buildings. For me personally, not a whole lot happened to me. Usually nothing ever really happens to me, I must say, because I don't know, I guess I'm just not that sensitive to things like that, but also I have like a very like analytical and clinical mind as well, so if anything does tend to happen to me, I kind of am very quick to like rationalize it and think like, oh, it's just this, oh, it's just that. So I really don't feel like a lot of like the things that happen around me are due to like the paranormal. There usually is like a rational, earthly, logical explanation, in my opinion. But that being said, like, JoJo, okay, so why do you go on these ghost tours and ghost hunts if like you think there's a logical explanation, whatever? I would say I'm about like maybe 95 to 98% a skeptic. However, that last like 2 to 5%, I do believe that there are things that we can't explain in this world. Things just, happen and we don't have like a scientific explanation for it as of yet. And it's very cool, because like it would be kind of boring just living in a world where we knew like everything and everything was just like explained and whatever. So it's just things like that that keep me coming back, and certain things that I can't quite explain myself. If you watched my videos on Pinterest, you would know that, like, or if you haven't, I'll leave the link up here in the card so you can go and watch it. That in one of the buildings, like, I felt something bite my knee. It felt like a child, like, biting my knee. And I work with kids with behavioral mental health issues. I've been bitten plenty of times by children, so I know what that bite feels like, and I just couldn't explain that because it wasn't like a spasm in my leg or anything. Like, it was like legit, felt like teeth. I can't quite explain that, you know? I still can't. I don't know what that was, and I've never felt anything like that before or since. But we're going to stick with Cresson. So for Cresson, the first building I went into with the group was solitary confinement. So this is where, like, the worst of the worst criminals were by themselves in their cells, practically speaking, all day. And we did a session on, I don't remember what he said, but it's kind of like a voice box or something like that, just an instrument that you use, that spirits can use to communicate with you. And it guessed, well, at first it guessed 10, or at least that's what they heard on that little machine, about how many people were in, like, the room with us. And then the second time around they said 18, which was the correct number. And then one woman was like, oh, like, which one was, like, the worst, you know, cell to be in? And they heard 7, and she was like, oh my god, that's, like, right behind me. That's so weird. But besides that, I didn't really feel or see or hear anything personally in that room. And when we had free time to go off on our own, I decided not to go back. Because, like, if nothing was really happening and if I didn't feel compelled to go back, there's really no reason for me to go back, honestly. And the second building we went into was building J, I believe, for, like, the general population. And for that one, we used, like, the rods and, like, pendulums to kind of, like, get yes or no answers. I used a pendulum because I just would rather use a pendulum instead of, like, the rods, just personal preference. And when I was asking a few, like, personal questions about how the ghost felt and whatever, a couple of times the pendulum did swing, like, a little bit more than it normally should. I have to admit, I don't have the steadiest of hands, probably a good reason. And then I'm not in the medical field, I'm a doctor, because I can't do anything like that without steady hands. But, like, even after a while, and I'm just, like, holding it there, like, eventually my hands started to shake. I think you could see that on the camera, and I was trying to, like, reposition it and just start all over again. But, like, no matter what you do, like, it will start to, like, you know, wobble a little bit, just because your hand is shaking and you're kind of slightly moving it, even if you're not aware of it. But definitely a couple of times it was moving around a lot farther than what would normally move. Because even though you can see, like, my hand was, like, to you guys it probably looks straight, but for me I was like shaking a little bit. But usually it's just, like, a little bit like this. Blood was actually, like, spinning a bit, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm done, goodbye. And I got out of there. I went into 2 separate rooms, and it happened at least one time in each room. And that was probably, like, the place where I personally, one of 2 places where there might have been something in there. But with these ghost hunts, with so many people around, like, people tended to go towards there, so I felt like if I wanted to go back and check it out, there's just going to be too many people there, which there were, so I just elected not to go back there, unfortunately. After we took our little break, we then went into the End of Days building, which has, like, a little church inside. Basically, this was part of the sanatorium where if you got, like, a terminal illness, or if you were very, very sick and they didn't believe that you're going to live, you got sent there and you just passed away in there. So as you can mention, a lot of activity in there. The first 2 groups from the first rotation said they saw lots of, like, shadow figures and whatnot. A person or 2 said, like, they did see something walking, but not as much as the previous groups. I didn't see any shadow figures. She placed basically, like, different forms of, like, lights. Like, there's, like, a cat toy at one point. There's, like, a flashlight in front of me. There was like a little red ball or something like that down at the end of the corner. Then there's like this other set of lights, I don't remember what it was, way down on the other end. And the light in front of me, I mean, I did see it in her hand from the beginning. It was kind of like going in and out. Personally, I chalk that up to like, you know, not good batteries and whatnot. But she placed it like directly in front of me, and like it would kind of fade in and out, and then eventually would go out. But like half the time it was funny because I would have my camera on it and it would kind of like flicker, you know. But then as soon as I moved away, that's when it went out. So half the time I didn't even catch it going off. I did catch it a few times on camera going out completely and then coming back on with my very, very bright flashlight from Amazon. I'm not quite sure if that would have worked with that, honestly, especially since I just put new batteries in there. But flashlight thing, it's not really doing it for me. Neither are the other lights, because, you know, they could just be triggered randomly, you know, the wirings in them and whatnot. I didn't like really feel anything. Like I said, I just don't generally feel anything a whole lot. I don't get overwhelming like feelings or thoughts that often. Moving on from there, we went to the chapel, and for the most part it was completely pitch black in there, and one person said they saw like a white shadow. However, because it is so dark, it was like pitch black in there, no lights or anything, and coupled with like, you know, the flashlights from outside, and there were shooting stars that we saw as well, and there was like lightning in the area because it was supposed to like, you know, rain and thunderstorm as well. It's kind of hard to distinguish what's really there and what's really not, if you get what I mean. I couldn't really see much in the total darkness. One thing did happen, and I'm so angry at myself because I didn't catch it on camera, but the thing of it is like my battery was going so long at that point and it was kind of close to dying, so I was trying to like conserve it because it would have been very hard to change my camera battery in a pitch black room, and like it was supposed to be very quiet, and me just rustling in my backpack trying to get that was just not happening. So I turned off my camera, and then a few people, I did hear it as well. It was like this like wailing sound. It was like it was so interesting because no one in that group claimed it was them. One rule with ghost hunts, you would say, is like if you make a sound, whether it's bodily, if you accidentally scuff your feet or move, you have to call it out saying, no, that was me, because they'll ask you, oh, was that a human? And you'll be like, oh, yes, it's me. That time, quite a few people heard it and no one claimed it was them. And like I said, I'm kicking myself because it was like it wasn't loud, but it was loud enough where like quite a few people throughout the chapel heard it, and I'm pretty sure my microphone would have picked it up too, but I didn't because I turned off my camera. So then after that I turned it back on. Of course, nothing else really happened. The median said that she basically saw like a flash of light across the stage. I didn't catch that because I was like staring off someplace else, honestly. But at one point before we ended, I don't think it was anyone from behind me, because I heard the people like around me, like in behind, in the front, to my side, moving, and like because they were moving, it didn't really feel anything like weird or different to me. But then like I felt this like presence, and it sounded like someone or something was like moving down the bench next to me. It was really, really weird and interesting because no one else really seemed to hear it. No one called it out or said anything. And yeah, it just was strange because it sounded like someone or something right next to me. Not behind, not in front or this side to my left, but to my right. And then I looked over and there was like, of course, nothing. I couldn't see anything in the darkness, but it sounded and felt like something was like sitting next to me or just moving on the bench, the pews, and that was interesting. So I did go back eventually to that part, but there were quite a few other people in there doing like their own ghost thing, so I didn't go back to the same area that I sat in, unfortunately. I did go to a couple of new buildings, one of which was the tunnel. Of course, you can't go to like a haunted paranormal you know, sight without going through a tunnel of some description. This tunnel, I will double check, but I believe it was used to transport the dead bodies from building 5 to building 1 and vice versa. So yeah, it was just basically this long tunnel, and it was pretty much pitch black in there. If you didn't have your flashlight, you were pretty much screwed. I walked the entire thing. Half the time there were people there, and I could hear them, but then when they kind of were a ways away, I kept walking. I didn't really see or feel anything, honestly. When I got to building 1, the door was closed. You couldn't go into building 1, unfortunately. In the middle, I would say halfway between building 1 and building 5 was the church, not the church, the chapel, and that basement led to the tunnels. So yeah, I mean, in there I did see like a red wire swinging, but I think because there was like a group walking in front of me, I think maybe one of them probably brushed into it and didn't mean to, but then when I got up to them, I saw that it was swinging, but then when I went there later on, like, it wasn't swinging at all. There was like no draft in there whatsoever, so I don't think it would really swing on its own. I went to building J. I don't know what that was used for. That wasn't part of the tour. The cool thing about this was that you went to 4 buildings basically, but then you had free reign to go into other buildings that you didn't necessarily get to tour. As long as the doors weren't locked or the entryway was like, you know, closed off or whatever, you can go wherever. And that was one of the buildings where we didn't go into. So I went in there. No one else was in there, so I feel like this was kind of like a more authentic-ish, you know, exploration of the building, because it was a very small building nonetheless. I don't know if anyone really ventured that far to check it or even knew it was there, because it's pitch black there, and if you don't know the layout of the area and you didn't get like a tour, you know, like a daytime tour or whatever prior to, you wouldn't really know it's there. I just happened to like stumble upon it in the dark because I kind of got lost because I was trying to go back to the main building, but like when you don't have big groups and you know like people are in there, you know, kind of like all in a group for the snacks, you can't tell which building is which. So I walked in there and I did explore for a little bit. I didn't really see or hear anything. It's very, very dark in there, very pitch black, and I really couldn't see anything until I was like right on top of it. But even then, because of like the darkness, my camera wasn't really focusing on the objects even when there was light on there, and it was just a bit like probably a bit blurry, so I didn't really see or hear anything personally in that building. Building 1 was closed off. I went through the tunnel. I went into building 5. I don't believe we explored building 5, so I went into there as well. I didn't really see or hear anything. That's pretty much where I started the tunnel walk to begin with. I explored a lot of the floors, didn't really see or hear anything. I went back into the end of days building. I went up to the 2nd floor because the 2nd floor you didn't get a chance to tour. You kind of went down the corridor of the 1st floor and they encouraged you to go up on the 2nd floor. I went up on the 2nd floor. I didn't really see or hear anything. There was like a couple just like doing their thing and ghost hunting, I guess. So yeah, that was basically the gist of the guided tours and some of the exploration I did on my own. Very comforting to know that like you're with a group, or like you're around other people, or just knowing that you're on like a secure location and no one else really from the outside is supposed to be on there, so you can like walk around freely even outside of the buildings and just know for the most part that like no one else should be there to like hurt you or to scare you or to do anything of the sort, which is really good, which is one of the reasons I think I just felt very comfortable just going out on my own, even in the complete darkness. Because at the end of the day, like, I knew there were other people around. I would eventually see someone else. I knew they weren't going to leave me. I was accounted for, you know. And I don't really think that like anything paranormal would have hurt me. And I was actually kind of like surprised at myself that I felt very comfortable enough to just go out on my own, you know. I figure like I'll be really, really scared because the last time I did that with Eastern State Penitentiary and Pennhurst, I was with my friend Crystal, but since she's in Florida now, I don't really have anyone else to go with. No one else really wants to go. My boyfriend kind of works most of the time, so his schedule's like inconsistent. So I just said, I'll go off on my own. I'm a big believer in not needing or waiting for other people to do things with you. If you really want to do something, don't pass up the opportunity to just wait on someone that may never go with you in the first place. Just go out on your own. That's what I did. Very, very proud of myself in that regard. However, like I mentioned before, there are 70 or over 70 of us that night, so it's really, really hard to kind of distinguish what's paranormal, what's human activity because of that. You know, almost in every single building, besides the K building that I went to, there were people. If you heard footsteps, 99% of the time it was because other people were walking about. If you saw like a flash of light, it wasn't an orb, it was someone's flashlight as they were walking through the building or like the ground. If you heard something, 99% of the time it was another human. So I really don't find things like that, really big ghost hunts like that, to really be that conducive, I want to say, or just productive to catching something paranormal on footage. Because even when it was supposed to be like quiet, if you watch on the camera and you hear like 99% of the time it's other people whispering and like talking to each other. It's not like anything paranormal. And except for the few times that I did mention where I like saw the pendulum swing, and that wasn't because anyone else was talking or whatever, it's just me and my hand like holding it steady as best as I could and it's swinging. That's like really interesting, and also just feeling and hearing something next to me in that chapel. Besides that, I just kind of don't feel like those types of hunts produce anything of substance, just because of the environment. There's just too many like outside factors going on that really hinder your ability to say, yes, paranormal, that's weird, because it usually can be explained by something else, you know. And I would love to go to like random haunted places or abandoned places and explore and like conduct my own investigation. However, when you're doing like urban exploration or just any hunts on your own in abandoned places that aren't in a controlled environment, you run the risk of not only getting caught by the police, but also just having like squatters and people living there who potentially want to hurt you, or not necessarily hurt you, but will defend themselves and in the process may hurt you. And I would rather do that with more people, not on my own. But like I said, no one else really wants to go with me. Crystal's the only one that would do things like that with me, and she's freaking in Florida now, but that's okay. I digress. However, if you do get scared of things like that and you don't want to be out on your own, a ghost investigation like this is pretty good, because you know you are with almost 100 other people, and you came with people, you came with a group, you're going to really stick together. So like you're in a controlled place. Like I said, like authorized people were only allowed to go into the building. No one else from the surrounding area was allowed on the grounds, you know, so you're pretty much good. And usually these places are out in the middle of nowhere anyway, so like unless someone is trekking through the woods or the mountain or whatever to get to that area, which I don't know why, because it's been abandoned for like decades, you know. It's just like, yeah, nothing's really gonna happen. They do check the buildings beforehand, they do check them afterwards, so like you should be fine with that. But overall, like, I like it. It's interesting, it's cool. It's cool to see what other people see and feel and experience in those locations. And it's also very interesting to know what I experienced, because I'm not very sensitive or open to possibilities like that. But once in a blue moon, there are things that I truly like can't explain, you know. So, or that I probably could explain, but it just gets a little bit trickier to explain, you know, because feel what you feel, you see what you see, hear what you hear. So yeah, and that's that. It's basically it for my debriefing of the ghost hunt in Cresson Sanatorium. I loved it overall, and I cannot wait for my next ghost hunt next month. But this time I'm going to take to Amazon, and I'm actually going to try to find like a pendulum or something like that to help my, investigation. I'm also thinking of downloading that app. I cannot for the life of me remember what it's called, otherwise I would have downloaded it for this ghost hunt. It's like that one where it's kind of like a voice box, but you can use like your phone to talk to them. I really would like to try that. I really want to try to be more engaging with the surrounding area and the ghosts. I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I cannot wait for my next one, like I said, in September. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the like button, and click subscribe and the bell to receive notifications of when I upload videos like this. So I will see you next month for my second ghost tour of the year. Bye guys!